Hello everyone, today we're going to do a review of the Everdrive for the Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis. We got this version from Warner's Retro Corner, who sells a lot of the Everdrives. As you can see, he's made his own custom case and custom cover that he's printed out. The cover printing looks a bit dark, like Sonic looks a bit dark, and it's hard to read flashcart here. And on the back, all of the text is unreadable. All that small text there, you just can't read it. But anyway, it looks nice. If we crack it open, the case, and look at the flashcart itself, he's obviously just used a donor cartridge and then in the top drilled a hole for an SD card slot. But again, the printing on this is a bit shoddy. You can see the corners here, and if we look at the top here, you can see it's coming off here. And at this side, I already re-glued it down with some Pritt sticks. It was completely up, and it's a bit messy cut out around there. Also, if you look at the back as well, where you can see the game bit screws, you can see some residue on the screws, where he's used a pen instead of a game bit screwdriver to remove them. Don't know if it's showing up well on the camera. You can see it a bit there at the left of the screw. What I'm going to do is just open up this cartridge so we can have a look at the main board and see which PCB revision it is. So the guy who makes these flash cards is called Crict, if you go to his website, and he makes lots of them for lots of different systems. But when he makes them and when he distributes them, he just offers the PCB only. So it's up for vendors if they want to put it in a cartridge case like this and make a case and display, or they can just sell the main board, which is what we're going to have a look at now. So here we go, this is the main board here. These are the JTAG ports for updating it at the top here. Let's see what we can see. Front, there we can see the website, quicks.com. That's the SD card holder. Now let's see if we can find the board revision in it. Revision 2.6, 14th of the 3rd, 2012. So it was made in March of this year. Made in the Ukraine, it says at the top here, Everdrive, and back here. So, cool. Right, we're going to reassemble it and try it with some ROMs and see how it runs in our Mega Drive. Right, so when setting up the SD card's here, and this is just a folder on my desktop with some ROMs in it. You've got to make sure that all the ROMs are unzipped or unrarred, so it's basically just a ROM not in an archive. So if you've got the good sets, or you've got, well, I've zipped my good sets, so what I'm going to do is just Control and A them all, so they're all selected, and then right click and extract here. Like so, and that'll extract them all, which it's done. And then if we click type here, we'll sort by type, and we're going to delete all those zip files now. So then just highlight all the zips and hit delete and get rid of them. Right, so that's that folder prepared, and then what I'm going to do now, another note is, let me go in the Mega Drive folder. You can only have a maximum of 200 items per directory. If you have more than 200, you'll have an error, so use multiple directories if you want more than 200 games. So these are my three folders I'm going to put on: Mega Drive 1, Mega Drive 2 and SMS. And basically just drag them onto your SD card like so, and when that process is done, pop the SD card back into your Everdrive. So I'll come to you once I've done that. Okay, before we go booting the console, one last thing I want to show you. I've put the games I want on this SD card now, and as you can see, when I put it into the top of the cartridge like so, shove it in, get it lined up correctly, it just sits there, and it sticks out the top like this, so it does look a bit ugly. And also, if you want to remove it, it's not spring loaded, you have to just pull it back out, so that's a bit of a poor design feature. Whereas if you compare it to like a modern day flash card, like the Ace card, well these are modern day as well, but like if you look at the Ace card for the DS, yeah, so if you compare it to like a micro SD card in the Ace cards, see how it sits plush like that, whereas this one doesn't. Much better design. They should have done that with these, because they could have done it. They could have designed the PCB that way. And also, like, if you push down, nothing happens on this. You push down on these, they're spring loaded. much better design. So there is room for improvement on them. Right, let's go test it in our Mega Drive now. And let's stick our Everdrive in the system in there. And let's get a controller, our modified controller, with a much longer cord, because the cords that come on them are quite ridiculously small. Right, and let's give the system power and see what we get on the screen. Produced by or under license from Sega. The options we have are play game, select game, options, cheats, toolbox. So we'll see if any games flash to it when it comes out of the box first. So we'll try play a game. Looks like something's flashed. ROM test, no. So yeah, it comes blank. So back to produced by or under license from Sega. We've got a select game this time. Fatinate HC. So that's the root of our SD card. So we'll try a Mega Drive game first. We'll go with Mega Drive 1 and see all the good ROMs that we've put on here. So what should we try? Let's say Battletoads. It's a fun game. So not B, not A. A enters a directory, B exits the directory. Maybe C? No, we'll try start. Right, start's going to flash it to the chip inside the Everdrive, and it looks like it's straight booting the game. Yeah, it is. Notice that there's distortion at the bottom of the screen there. That's because I'm using AV instead of the RF cable. So you can see that this is working great, which is awesome news. Let's quickly get into the game. And I'm getting pwned. C jumps, B punches. Let's kick then. Bop, 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 bop. Right, so we can see that that's working, but what we're going to do is we're going to power it off now and show you something else. Right, because that flashed to the chip, let's turn it off, you see the power's off. If I pull this SD card out the top now, see it there now, and turn it back on, you'll see that they don't actually need the SD card in the system to play a game once it's been flashed. So you can then remove the SD card and use it for something else. You see Battletoads is still flashed to the cartridge. Right, so let's turn it off again and put the SD card back in. We'll try some of its other features out. So that's the SD card back in. So, with the Mega Drives and Master Systems being so closely related, the Mega Drive actually plays Master System games. If you ever saw the power base converter for the Mega Drives, that was basically just a pass-through device. So all these Master System games should work fine. So let's give Alex Kidd in Miracle World a try. We'll flash that to the system. You can see there it spots it already, ROM type SMS, Sega Master System, Sega Mark III. And you can see that this is working great on our Mega Drive. Japanese version, that's why it said Sega Mark III. Yeah, so B and C become buttons 1 and 2. And it's working great. So you get all Master System games, all Mega Drive games work. Oh, well actually there's a couple of exceptions. For the Mega Drive, Mega Man doesn't work. Ghost Run! Yeah, Mega Man doesn't work, Virtual Racing doesn't work, and there's one other game that doesn't work, but I can't recall what it was. But there's nothing overly important that's not working. So let's power this off one more time and we'll have a look at some of the other features that it's got. So let's power off and power back on. So in the way of cheats, I don't actually have any to refer to at the minute, but you can use a text file and like enter Game Genie and load Game Genie. So like you can have a text file in the ROM directory named the same name as the ROM.txt and it'll load that for your cheats, or you can just enter them here, and then when you flash the ROM to the cartridge it'll write the cheats with it as well, so you can't then enable or disable the cheats. It's a one-time thing, so if you wanted to get rid of them you'd have to reflash the game to the cartridge without the cheats enabled, See what we've got in options. Hard reset off, Journey mode 3 off, SRAM auto backup feature. Right, that's an awesome feature as well. So basically, if you're playing a game that's got battery backup feature, like Wonder Boy for example, or Sonic 3, when you finish playing it and you decide to flash another game, it will back up the SRAM of the game you've been playing to the SD card, and then when you reload that game at a later date, it'll copy the SRAM back to the cartridge. So you always get saves if you have that feature on. The region 3 feature, it'll try to use hardware on the cartridge called the Mega Key, or if that doesn't work, it'll just patch the games on the fly before it copies them to get region 3. And what have we got in the toolbox? Do we have a look in there? Save load SRAM, so you can do it manually. Device info, OS version 33, hardware version 14, Mega Key, that's what I was talking about the region feature. You can see it's got the hardware feature of it. We're using FAT32. You can tell that we've got a PAL system with no Mega CD attached. Yeah. SMS key not pressed. Wonder what that is. Maybe we can put an SMS pad in. SPI speed test, let's give that a shot, see what it's doing. Testing how fast my memory card is. So, what does that say? 1710 seconds 53. Speed 192 kilobytes a second. Cool beans. Let's see what it's about. Everdrive MD flash card developed by Igor. Ooh, should we butcher this surname? Golubovishki. Assembled in Ukraine. Support Crix.com or biocrick@gmail.com. Assembly date 27th of the 9th 2012. So that's the software is actually later than the hardware, because the hardware had a March 2012 date on it. Distributed by Crix.com, Everdrive. So there we go, that's our review of the Everdrive for the Mega Drive. We'd say it's awesome. The build quality of the cartridge and the case and everything was a bit shoddy, but the hardware inside and the features are what we're after, and they're awesome. So I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please rate and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye everybody.